Robert Paula has condemned Carcer Navarra's attack on Lovin Malta journalist. Rosanne Kutaya has sued Mark Camilleri for libel after Jörgen Fenech allegations. And an analyst has responded to a young boy with behavioral disorder for being barred from school. All this and more on today's episode of Lovin Daily. Good evening and welcome to another episode of Lovin Daily. I am your host, David Urpani, and with me is Paula, Cauchi. We have a very busy and you know insane episode ahead, so let's jump right into it. The Prime Minister Robert Paula has condemned Carcer Navarra on an episode of Piazza that aired yesterday. It all started on the Carcer Navarra episode where he aired secret footage. I mean, it gave me, Alex Jones conspiracy theory vibes. I don't know what was so secret. It was basically a video that was being shot from a moving car. So props to the driver for driving and filming in front of the police headquarters, showing the activist group Repubblica setting up for their protest outside the police headquarters. A Lovin Malta journalist, Tim Diacono, as is his actual job as a journalist and obligation, was on site reporting the event, but Carcer Navarra turned it into some sort of massive conspiracy, of the media joining the church and joining the Repubblica and joining PN in overthrowing the government. Carcer Navarra said, this footage brought together 4 institutions that have declared themselves to be against the Labour government, Repubblica, the PN, the church and the media, and they're all representative of the establishment against the Labour government. Pretty ridiculous, ludicrous, hilarious were it not so devious. I personally don't know Tim, I've worked with him for a number of years now. His dedication to go on the scene and to report and to speak to all sides of any argument is frankly unparalleled. We were all getting messages this morning, about how ridiculous it is that this conspiracy was brought to light on one TV. If I'm not mistaken, Carcer Navarra himself speaks to Tim on a regular basis, so it's a little bit ridiculous because I think he knows Tim and I think he should know better. He's too caught up being a propagandist, frankly. The Prime Minister has since, made a statement very clearly denouncing this, very clearly saying, that the Prime Minister was always clear and even condemned any comment that may hinder journalists whilst carrying out their jobs. The OPM spokesperson even went on to say, singling out Tim Diacono while doing his job is absolutely unacceptable. This is, just another example as to why Lovin Malta filed a constitutional case earlier this year following the crowd-funded Cacciatori.com campaign, calling out both One and Net TV to follow, regulations on political impartiality. Cacciatori.com is still live. You can still see why we are doing all of this. And if you needed another proof, Carcer Navarra is there. Lovin Malta has sent Carcer Navarra a right of reply, and it will be read out during tonight's episode of Piazza. So, if there's going to be one night where you watch Piazza, make it tonight, because it should get interesting. Paul?
Jiena ħadd pjaċir bil-kundanna ta' Robert Paula għaliex ħanarġa' ngħidha ta' diversi drabi fuq dan il-programm. Programmi bħal Piazza, preżentaturi rispett kollu bħal Carcer Navarra mhumiex rappreżentanti ta' l-istazzjon 1 kollu, mhumiex rappreżentanti tal-laburisti ta' kull min jassoċja ruħu mal-Partit Laburista. Nemmen illi l-istil ta' l-istil ta' Piazza huwa antik immens, jappella għal ċertu sezzjoni ta' nies partikolari li jenna ewwel waħda ma nappartjenix għal dik is-sezzjoni, għaliex jiena nemmen f'politika differenti. Għandek momenti fejn tkun partiġan mingħajr ma trid, għandek momenti bħal daw fejn m'għandekx għalfejn tivvinta jew il-partiġaniżmu fejn ma jeżistix, u dak kien il-każ ta' Carcer Navarra l-bieraħ fejn nafu li huwa showman, nafu li showman huwa s-sigriet tas-suċċess tal-programm tiegħu, però ħitu kittu far u jidher il-cold shower tajjelu l-Prim Ministru stess jalla din isservi biex ma narawx episodji simili, speċjalment attakki fuq ġurnalisti fuq Tim. Inserta Tim, so inserta l-ar eżempju li qatt seta' jġib għaliex Tim huwa nista' ngħid Tim personalment wieħed minn dawk il-ġurnalisti li ma jagħmilx opinjoni qabel jisma' ir-risposti miż-żewġ naħat aw ħafna ġurnalisti li l-mument li stamgħu storja daqshekk iddeċidew kif ħajkdbuha irrispettivament mill-lim risposta jirċievu min-naħa l-oħra. Tim huwa dak il-ġurnalisti li fil-press conferences live waqt il-COVID fejn in-nies saru jafu aktar il-ġurnalisti ta' Malta u dak il-ġurnalisti joħroġlok b'xi mistoqsija tgħid imma dak kif Kolombja jituri kemm għandu l-ebda aġenda moħbija u għalhekk ma setax uża eżempju għar minn Tim f'dal-attakk. Seta' kien min kien dal-attakk kien wieħed cheap u nispera li ma narġgħux naraw ieħor simili kulħadd jitgħallem minn din il-lezzjoni. Naddu għall-istorja li jmiss, sedin nitkellmu fuq stejjer sensazzjonali, storja oħra sensazzjonali li issa xbajna nisimgħuha u issa da black on white fuq tip. Hija dik li kiteb Mark Camilleri hija lega li Rozjan Kutajjar kellha relazzjoni intima ma' Jürgen Fenek, jidher li Rozjan Kutajjar issa qabżit ilha bl-ikra, m'għandux tort, u fetħet libel il-Mark Camilleri qalet li hija bniedma umana wara kollox għandha familja bħal kulħadd u li dawn l-allegazzjonijiet kontinju issa saħansitra fi ktieb mhix ħatiflaħ lihom iktar u fetħet libel. Naħseb li hija mossa mill-lat legali riskjuża immens għaliex għas-sempliċi raġuni li kull darba li issa ser ikun hemm seduta dan il-libel il-medja ser tarġa' tfakkar din l-istorja l-darb'oħra ser naraw xieda titella miż-żewġ naħat fejn ser ikunu qegħdin jiddiskutu dan is-suġġett intimu litteralment, jiġifieri sinjal li hija mxebba kompletament biex waslet għal dan il-pass estrem. Naraw il-mod kif forsi l-qorti ser tittakilja dan il-każ ta' libel għax mhijiex sitwazzjoni feliċi żgur mhux Rozjan Kutajjar lanqas għall-familja u lanqas għall-familja ta' Jürgen Fenek. Okay, għandhom problemi ikbar imma żgur irid tkompli żżid ma' dis-sitwazzjoni.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's an extremely bold claim to make, especially if you're making that claim and writing your name to it and having it black on white and literally selling the claim on a book, because this is practically what Mark Camilleri is making. At the same time, I can't help but feel, we've been hearing about this for over a year now. There's a very easy way to, put an end to this claim, rumor, allegation, whatever it is. Just say you didn't do it. Like last year we kind of had the same thing with Silvio Schembri when he himself admitted, I haven't had any sexual relationships with Jürgen Fenek. I feel like there's a really easy way out of this, and hopefully like that, all the parties and all the let's face it, family members of the parties, because this is something that they didn't really choose to always constantly see in the news, will finally put it to rest. And we can move on to other things that aren't just always these personal relationships of our political or business elite or all of that, and just move on to maybe other personal issues, like the one that's in our next story after all. A young Maltese boy who was diagnosed with ODT, an oppositional defiant disorder, was barred from physically and virtually attending his school, and a certified behavior analyst has spoken to Lovin Malta to kind of open up about how this is not just one single problem, but it's quite symptomatic of a larger issue. So basically the boy's parents had sent a detailed report to the school. It was never really examined until it was too late, and turns out it was too late on literally the first day. There was an episode in the classroom on the first day, and it ended with, the boy being barred from attending school, from even attending virtual lessons and all of that. The parents were, of course, frustrated, furious really, but Lovin Malta has since spoken to a certified behavior analyst, Natasha Attard, who, by the way, is the clinical director of the Hand in Hand School, so an entity that specifically deals with children with autism. And she told us, look, this problem goes deeper. This problem is all about not enough resources being given to schools, not enough training being given to schools, not enough specialists around the island. The specialists that there are few and far in between. The field is still in its infancy. So there's a lot of issues here. But what happens as a result of all this is confused teachers, puzzled schools that don't really have the resources to deal with it, frustrated parents. Let's definitely, get this show on the road. Let's try to improve our education services, especially when it comes to these troubled kids, because, the more we have of these kids who fall through the net, the worse it's going to be for our future generations, really.
Situazzjoni kera kemm għat-tfal u għar naħseb għal-ġenituri li ma jkunux jafu letteralment fejn ser jagħtu rashom. Nisperaw li dal-każ iservi biex jekk hemm bżonn riforma xi bidla xi training jiġi triggered ħalli ma narawx każijiet simili. Nixtieq ukoll ma narawx każijiet simili għal dak li donnu ħejġri x'lendi, qed nirreferi għal dik il-blokka appartamenti li deru ritratti tagħha ta' kif se tiġi tidher il-moment li jkun nest il-proġett. Ġon Malija l-bieraħ ħareġ jgħid li Malta ser tiġi it-turisti mhumiex se jaraw il-Malta aktar bħala post attraenti f'dal każ għawdex, naqbel miegħu. Sfortunatament dan mhuwiex każ ta' naħseb development zone jew mhux development zone x'jistgħu jagħmlu f'dawk il-parametri, però huwa każ ta' ma nistax nifhem min ħareġ il-permess għal proġett estetikament daqshekk ikraħ għaliex m'hemmx kelma oħra. Ikraħ u jistona, se tgħidilna ħal ta' triq hemm binjiet għoljin, iva sbieħ le mhumiex għaliex ħankomplu nestendu l-kruha għan-naħa l-oħra. Problema qed narawha kullimkien f'għawdex tistona b'mod partikolari.
Yeah. I mean, also, Ġon Malija, as is the case, has, very colorful language, and he definitely used all of that colorful language in his article to describe this. But to be honest, he's right. I would probably have used even more colorful language, to be honest. The project is what it is. It gave me a headache just looking at the render, so let alone what is going to end up being eventually.
Parti d-diżastru li ħajkun hemm għaddej sakemm jinbena.
100%, exactly. And this is a tiny beach, this is, I don't even consider Xlendi as a beach. I see it as a seaside road, really, because it is what it is. It's that area. So there is an argument to be made. I can definitely see where Ġon Malija is coming from when he says, that this is going to be less attractive for tourists. I'm pretty sure that they would have preferred to come to a Xlendi that they would have seen on Google. And if you Google Xlendi, you're definitely not going, well, you're going to see that tower now in renders if you Google Xlendi, but otherwise, I just feel like a lot of tourists have this untainted vision of Malta whenever they Google, certain places. They see a slightly past version of it, and then they come here and they're like, okay, cool, so there's another tower coming up. So I can definitely see where he's coming from. It remains to be seen whether it will have such a direct effect. I can kind of see why that would happen, and I hope it doesn't. Moving on to something that's unfortunately also related to this. In a confusing turn of events, a eucalyptus tree which was removed during a development was replaced by a tree that was shipped from Sicily down to Malta. This happened in St. Julian's, in what was known as the cat village, the beloved cat village, the one of Spinola, because there's two cat villages. This was demolished to make place for, yet another concrete building, this time courtesy of the Thomas Group. And Thomas Group did promise that a tree would replace this eucalyptus tree eventually. Eventually happened yesterday when a 200-year-old olive tree was shipped from Sicily. Huge, just plonked there. The photos were, quite impressive. Not sure whether for a positive or negative reason. Of course, this had to happen because of everyone complaining that the beloved cats that had made the tree their home were just resting on the concrete material, not along the residents not having a beautiful tree. I think it's quite funny, were it not, again, quite tragic that you remove the massive tree just to place another one that had to be shipped from, 100 kilometers away, insomma.
Ma nifhimx is-siġar, però mhux qed nifhem kif tagħmel sens din il-mossa. Nispera jew nistenna li Thomas Group kellhom xi speċjalist tas-siġar li jiġi jispjegalna b'mod li jifhem kulħadd din mossa kif kienet tagħmel sens. Jekk għandhom spjegazzjoni valida għandha x'taqsam man-natura tas-siġra tar-roots, whatever, please illuminana għaliex jekk nibqgħu bla risposta. Ġist ħanibqgħu mħawdi, ma sawx nifhmu x'kienet din mossa kobra illi fil-tem ta' 24 sija daw iqtates naħseb qed jaħsbuhom qed jiġġennu sabu sidra ġdida tistennihom. Kważana fit-tmiem ta' dan il-programm Kien program partikolari di forsi
Absolutely.
l-ewwel wieħed miegħek ma nafx.
Absolutely.
Nafx ikunux dejjem hekk il-programmi
Let's see. Definitely. So on that, confusing bombshell, we'll leave you to it. Don't forget to watch Piazza tonight and have a day full of lovin'.
Ciao.